Hello students, I welcome you all for today's class. I hope everybody are doing good. So before we move on to today's class, we'll do a recap of what we learned in the previous class, okay? So first we looked into the ratios and proportions. In ratios we saw the properties of ratios, the ratios in simplest form, simplifying ratios of same unit, simplifying ratios of different unit, and we solved problems on ratios, okay? So in today's class, we'll be learning about equivalent ratios, comparison of ratios. In comparison of ratios, you will be learning the steps for comparing ratios and we'll be solving problems on equivalent ratios. Okay, students? So first, we'll be looking into equivalent ratios. Okay. So this is Aman and this is Arav. Okay. So Aman has 6 chocolates, whereas Arav has 9 chocolates. Okay. Now, can you find what's the ratio of Aman's chocolate to Arav's chocolate? Well, the ratio of Aman's chocolate to Arav's chocolate is 6:9, right? Since Aman has 6 chocolates and Arav has 9 chocolates, the ratio of Aman's chocolate to Arav's chocolate is 6:9, okay? Now let's see another scenario. In a class, there are 12 girls and 18 boys, okay? Can you find out what is the ratio of number of girls to number of boys in a class? Well, the ratio of number of girls to number of boys in a class is 12:18, right? Since the number of girls in the class is 12 and the number of boys in the class is 18, the ratio of number of girls to number of boys in the class will be 12:18, okay? If we see the simplest form of both the ratio, then in the first case it is 6:9, right? So you will be representing it in the fraction form, that is 6 divided by 9. Since 6 and 9 gets divided by 3 tables, so on simplifying both the values by 3, you will be getting 2 by 3. Okay, so when you divide 6 by 3, you will be getting 2, and when you divide 9 by 3 tables, you will be getting 3. Okay, so the simplified ratio of Aman's chocolates to Arav's chocolate will be 2 by 3, that is 2:3. Okay, now we'll move to the second case, that is 12:18 ratio. Okay, that is the number of girls is 12 and the number of boys is 18, right? So the simplified form of 12:18 is 12 by 18. So both the values 12 and 18 gets divided by 3 tables. So on dividing 12 by 3 tables, you will be getting 4, and by dividing 18 by 3 tables, you will be getting 6. Okay, further 4 and 6 gets divided by 2 tables, right? So when you divide 4 by 2, you will be getting 2, and when you divide 6 by 2 tables, you will be getting 3. Okay, so the simplified ratio of number of girls to number of boys in a class is 2:3. Okay, so you could notice that the lowest form of these ratios is same, which is 2:3, right? So such ratios are called as equivalent ratios, okay, as they represent the same ratios in the simplest form. So the ratios 12:8 and 6:9 are called the equivalent ratios, okay. So now you might think how to get equivalent ratio, right? Well, we'll consider the first scenario, that is 6:9. Okay, so we'll consider the first ratio. So in order to get the equivalent ratio, we can multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2. Okay, so when I multiply 6 with 2, I'll be getting 12, and when I multiply 9 with 2, I'll be getting 18. Okay, so therefore 6:9 and 12:18 are called the equivalent ratios. Okay, so the first case is equivalent ratios can be found by multiplying the numerator and the denominator. Okay, now we'll move to the second case. Is there any other method to find the equivalent ratio? Yes, it's by division, okay? Well, we have the second case, that is 12 is to 18. That is, we have the second ratio 12 is to 18, and this is found by the ratio of number of girls to number of boys in a class, right? So in order to find the equivalent ratio, we'll be dividing 12 by 18. Okay, so both the values 12 and 18 gets divided in two tables. Okay, so when you divide 12 and 18, you'll be getting the value 6 by 9. That is, when you divide 12 by 2, you will be getting 6, and when you divide 18 by 2, you will be getting 9. In this case, you can say that 12 is to 18 and 6 is to 9 are the equivalent ratios, right? So, what is the equivalent ratio? A ratio obtained by multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator of a given ratio by the same number is called an equivalent ratio. Got it, students? So, what is the equivalent ratio? A ratio obtained by either multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator of a given ratio by the same number is called an equivalent ratio. Okay. So now we'll be moving to comparison of ratios, okay? So let's say you want to eat some cookies and you want the ones with most chocolate chips, okay? Now this is Zarel and this is Amera, okay? So Zarel makes cookies with 2 cups of chocolate chips to 5 cups of cookie dough, okay? Whereas Amera makes 3 cups of chocolate chips to 7 cups of cookie dough. Which cookie will have a higher ratio of chocolate chips to cookie dough? You will start by writing the ratio. For Zarel, you will write 2 over 5, and for Amira, you will write 3 over 7. Okay. Now change each fraction to an equivalent fraction using the lowest common denominator. Okay. In order to do this, we need to find the lowest number in which both the 5 and 7 goes. Okay, so the number is 35. So what times by 5 is equal to 35? That is 7, right? So you will be multiplying 7 in the numerator and denominator. Okay, so when you multiply 7 in the numerator and denominator with 2 over 5, you will be getting 14 over 35. Okay, that is 2 multiplied by 7 is 14 and 5 multiplied by 7 is 35. Now we'll move to the Amera. Okay, what times by 7 is equal to 35? It is 5, right? So we need to multiply 5 in the numerator and denominator in order to get the lowest common denominator. Okay, so we'll be multiplying 5 in the numerator and denominator. Okay, so when you multiply 5 with numerator, you'll be getting 15. That is 3 multiplied by 5 is 15, and when you multiply 5 in the denominator, that is 7 multiplied by 5 is 35. So from this you could see that the denominators are the same. Okay, now we could observe that 14 over 35 is less than 15 over 35, right? So therefore Amera's ratio has higher number of chocolate chips. So I eat her cookies if I want to have the most number of chocolate chips in my cookies. Okay, so Amera has the most number of chocolate chips in her cookies. So this is all about comparison of ratios. Now we'll move to the steps for comparing ratios. So the first step is you are going to write each ratio as a fraction. Okay, we have already seen in the previous video too. So the first step you will be doing is you are going to represent the ratio as a fraction. Okay, and the second step is you will be comparing the ratios. Okay, so these are the two steps for comparing ratios. So what are the two steps for comparing ratios? You'll be writing each ratio as a fraction, and the second one is you'll be comparing the ratios. Okay, so now we'll move to problems. So in today's class, I'll be solving exercise number 3.2, okay? Fourth sum. The question is, give two equivalent ratios for each of the following, okay? So the first one is 3:2, okay? Now you are going to give the two equivalent ratios for the given ratio, okay? So the first step is you are going to represent the given ratio as a fraction, and you will be multiplying the fraction with 2, okay? So when you multiply both numerator and denominator with 2, you will be getting 6. That is 3 multiplied by 2 is 6 and 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. So we have found one equivalent ratio. Okay. Now you have to find the other. So next I'll be multiplying the given ratios with 3 tables. Okay. So when I multiply 3 with 3, I'll be getting 9. And when I multiply 2 with 3, I'll be getting 6. Okay. So these are the two equivalent ratios for the given question. Got it, students? You are just going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2 tables, and the second case is you are going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 3 tables. Okay. So the two equivalent ratios for 3:2 are 6:4 and 9:6. Okay. We'll move to the second sum, that is 1:6. Okay. So the first step is you will be writing it in fraction form, and the second step is you will be multiplying both the numerator and denominator with 2. Okay. So when you multiply 1 with 2, you will be getting 2. That is 1 multiplied by 2 is 2, and when you multiply 6 with 2, that is 6 multiplied by 2 is 12. Okay. So this is the fraction form, and when you convert the fraction to the ratio form, you will be writing it as 2:12. Okay. So we'll be moving to the second equivalent ratios. In the second equivalent ratios, you'll be multiplying both the numerator and denominator with 3, right? So when you multiply 1 with 3, you will be getting 3, and when you multiply 6 with 3, you will be getting 18. Okay, so 3 by 18 is the fraction form, and when you convert fraction to the ratios, you will be writing it as 3:18. Got it, students? So the two equivalent ratios for 1:6 are 2:12 and 3:18. Okay. Now I'll move to the third subdivision, that is 5:4. Okay, so what is the first step? Yes, you'll be representing it in fraction form, that is 5/4. And the second step is you'll be multiplying both the numerator and denominator with 2. Okay, so when you multiply 5 with 2, you'll be getting 10, and when you multiply 4 with 2, you'll be getting 8. Okay, so 10/8 is the fraction form, and when you convert it into ratio form, you'll be getting 10:8. And the third step is you'll be multiplying it with 3. Okay, so when you multiply 5 with 3, you'll be getting 15, and when you multiply 4 with 3, you'll be getting 12. Okay, so the first step is you'll be representing it in fraction, and the second step is you'll be multiplying both the numerator and denominator with 2, and the third step is you'll be multiplying both the numerator and denominator with 3. Got it, students? So the second equivalent ratio is 15:12. Okay. So the two equivalent ratios for 5:4 are 10:8 and 15:12. Got it, students? Now I'll move to the fifth sum, that is which of the two ratios is larger. Okay, so we are going to find among the two ratios which ratio is larger. Okay, so the first subdivision is 4:5 or 8:15. So in this case, you are going to compare these two ratios. Okay, so the first step is you will be representing it in fraction. Okay, you will be writing 4/5 and 8/15. Okay, so now you must change the fraction to an equivalent fraction. Okay, now use the lowest common denominator. Okay. So we need to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 3. Okay, so now when I multiply 4 with 3, I'll be getting 12, and when I multiply 5 with 3, I'll be getting 15. Okay, so when I compare both 12/15 and 8/15, 12/15 is larger than 8/15. Okay, so therefore 4:5 is larger than 8:15. Got it, students? First, you are going to find the lowest common denominator, and you'll be multiplying the number with the numerator and denominator. Okay, we'll move to the second sum, that is 3 is to 4 or 7 is to 8. So what is the first step? You'll be representing it in fraction, that is 3 by 4 and 7 by 8. So in this you could see that 8 is greater in the denominator, right? So we'll keep it as it is, and we are going to change the fraction of 3 by 4 to an equivalent fraction. Okay, so in order to do this, we are going to find the lowest number that 4 goes. Okay, so the number is 8. So what times 4 is equal to 8? It is 2, right? So you are going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 2. So when I multiply 3 with 2, I'll be getting 6, and when I multiply 4 with 2, I'll be getting 8. Got it, students? So by comparing 6 by 8 and 7 by 8, 7 by 8 is larger than 6 by 8, and therefore 7 is to 8 is larger than 6 is to 8. Got it, students? Now I'll move to the sixth sum, that is divide the numbers given below in the required ratio. Okay, so what is the question? You are going to divide the numbers given below in the required ratio. So the first subdivision is 20 in the ratio of 3 is to 2. Okay, so what is given in the question? It is the ratio, that is 3 is to 2. The solution is, first you are going to find out the sum of the ratio. So when you find the sum of the ratio, that is 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Okay. Now 5 parts is equal to 20. So what will be the answer for one part? You are going to divide the value 20 by 5. Okay. So when you divide 20 by 5, you will be getting 4. So one part is equal to 4. Okay. So what is given in the question? It is 3 is to 2, right? The ratio given in the question is 3 is to 2. So for 3 parts, you'll be multiplying 3 with 4. That is, one part is equal to 4, right? So when you want to find the answer for 3 parts, you'll be multiplying 3 with one part, that is 4. Okay, so when you multiply 3 with 4, you'll be getting 12. And for finding out 2 parts, you'll be multiplying 2 with one part, that is 4. So 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. Okay. So therefore 20 can be divided in the form as 12 and 8. Got it, students? First you are going to find out the sum of the ratios. Okay, that is 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Now 5 parts is equal to 20. Okay, now in order to find out one part, you will be dividing the value 20 with 5. Okay, so when you divide 20 by 5, you will be getting the answer 4. So one part is equal to 4. Now what is given in the question? The ratio. 3 is to 2 is the ratio for this question. Okay, so for 3 parts, you are going to multiply 3 with 4 and the answer is 12, and for 2 parts you will be multiplying 2 with 4 and the answer is 8. Okay, so therefore 20 can be divided in the form as 12 and 8. Okay, now we'll move to the second sum, that is 27 in the ratio 4 is to 5. Okay, what is given in the question? The ratio 4 is to 5. Now the solution is, what is the first step? Yes, you are going to find out the sum of the ratios. Okay, so when you add 4 and 5, you will be getting 9. Now 9 parts is equal to 27. Okay, in order to find one part, you will be dividing the value 27 by 9. Okay, so when you divide 27 by 9, the answer is 3. Therefore, one part is equal to 3. Now, what is the ratio given in the question? It is 4 is to 5, right? So, for 4 parts, you will be multiplying 4 with one part, that is 3. When you multiply 4 with 3, you will be getting 12, and the second is 5 parts. So, when you multiply 5 with 3, you will be getting 15, okay? So therefore 27 can be divided in the form as 12, 15. Got it, students? The first step is you are going to find the sum, that is 4 plus 5 is equal to 9, and 9 parts is equal to 27. Okay, in order to find one part, you will be dividing 27 by 9. Okay, that is 3. So one part is equal to 3. Now we are supposed to find for 4 parts. Okay, so you'll be multiplying 4 with 3. When you multiply 4 with 3, you'll be getting 12. And for 5 parts, you'll be multiplying 5 with 3. Okay, so when you multiply 5 with 3, you'll be getting 15. Okay, so therefore 27 can be divided in the form as 12 comma 15. Got it, students? Now we'll move to the seventh sum. In a family, the amount spent in the month for buying provisions and vegetables are in the ratio 3:2. Okay, if the allotted amount is rupees 4,000, then what will be the amount spent for first one is provision and second one is vegetables? Okay, so this is the question. Now, what is given in the question? The amount allotted for buying provisions and vegetables is 4,000. Okay, and the ratio is given, that is 3:2. What are you supposed to find? The amount spent for provisions and vegetables. Okay, now the solution is you are going to find the sum of the ratios. Okay, it is similar to the previous sum. The first step is you are going to find the sum of the ratios, that is 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. Okay, now first one is you are supposed to find for provisions. Okay, now 3 out of 5 parts are spent for provisions, right? What is the ratio given in the question? It is 3:2. So among 5 parts, 3 parts are spent for provisions. Okay, so therefore you are going to multiply 3 by 5 with 4,000. Okay, so when you multiply 3 by 5 with 4,000, you can cancel out the 5 tables in 4,000. Okay, so when you cancel 4,000, you'll be getting 800. Okay, in 5 tables. So when you multiply 800 with 3, you'll be getting 2,400 for provisions. Got it, students? So the second one is you'll be finding it for vegetables. Okay, so the remaining 2 out of 5 parts are spent for vegetables. Okay, so you'll be multiplying the value 2 by 5 with 4,000. Okay, so when you multiply 2 by 5 with 4,000, you'll cancel 4,000 in 5 tables, you'll be getting the answer 800. Okay, so when you multiply 800 with 2, you'll be getting 1,600 for vegetables. So therefore rupees 2,400 is spent on provisions and rupees 1,600 is spent on vegetables. Got it, students? For provisions it is 3 out of 5 parts, and for vegetables it is 2 out of 5 parts. Okay, now we'll move to the last sum. A line segment 63 centimeter long is to be divided into 2 parts in the ratio 3:4. Find the length of each part. What is given in the question? The total length of a line segment is 63 centimeter and the ratio is given, that is 3:4. Okay. Now what are you supposed to find? You are supposed to find the length of each part. So it is similar to the previous sums. So the first step is you are going to find out the sum of the ratios, that is 3 plus 4 is equal to 7. Okay. So 7 parts is equal to 63 centimeter, and for one part you will be dividing 63 by 7 and the answer is 9. Okay, so for one part the answer is 9. So here in this question the ratio 3:4 is given. So for 3 parts you'll be multiplying 3 with 9, that is one part, you'll be getting 27, and for 4 parts you'll be multiplying 4 with 9, the answer is 36. Okay, therefore 63 centimeter can be divided into parts as 27 centimeter and 36 centimeter. Got it, students? So what is the first step? You will be finding out the sum of the ratio, and when you add 3 and 4 you will be getting 7, and 7 parts is equal to 63 centimeter. In order to find out the one part, you will be dividing 63 by 7, that is 9. Okay, since in this question the ratio 3:4 is given, you are going to multiply 9 with 3 parts, that is the answer is 27. And when you multiply 9 with 4 parts, you'll be getting 36. Okay, therefore 63 centimeter can be divided into parts as 27 centimeter and 36 centimeter. Got it, students? So that's it for today's class. We have completed the exercise number 3.2. Now I'll do a recap of what we learned in today's class. Okay, first we looked into what are equivalent ratios. Okay, so first we looked into an example on how to find the equivalent ratios. So what are equivalent ratios? A ratio obtained by multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator of a given ratio by the same number is called an equivalent ratios. Okay, and next we moved on to the comparison of ratios. We saw with an example on how to compare two ratios. And next we moved on to the steps for comparing ratios. So what are the two main steps? First, you are going to write the ratio as a fraction, and the second step is you will be comparing the ratios, okay? And next we moved on to the problems. We solved exercise number 3.2. That's all, students. Now it's time for question and answer. So define equivalent ratios. Yes. A ratio obtained either by multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator by the same number is called an equivalent ratios. Excellent. Now we'll move to the second question. What are the steps used in comparing ratios? Yes. So the first step is you'll be representing the ratio as a fraction, and the second step is you'll be comparing the ratios. Very good. I have attached the worksheets for you. Kindly solve it in your rough notebook. Thank you, students.